This is it. Everything that Mega Man as a franchise was, is, or may yet be is because of the home run grand slam that was Mega Man 2. The levels, boss fights, and music are some of the most iconic, not only for Mega Man, but for video games in general. This was the game that made Mega Man a leader of side-scrolling platformers and a household phrase for gamers everywhere, with one song in particular that might hold the record for most remixed. This game had one of the biggest impacts on video game history, and you might say I'm a little bit affected by nostalgia, but you'd be wrong. I'm swimming in it. This is the song that ended the last Mega Man game. And the story at the bottom is all we get between the game and the instruction book. There is nothing else besides what we read here. And here is the most recognizable Mega Man theme song. Now we have the choice between a normal setting for the game and a difficult setting for the game. In difficult mode, one or two enemies behave differently. Some enemies will hit Mega Man harder, and others will take more damage from Mega Man in order to destroy them. Here's an improvement over Mega Man 1. We have a password function. The first Mega Man game that uses a password. And just as in the case of the original Mega Man, each robot level that you clear gives you one of the robot abilities, and each one of the robot abilities will be effective against another robot boss. So in Mega Man 2, Metal Man is effective against Flash Man, Flash Man is effective against Quick Man, Quick Man is effective against Bubble Man, Bubble Man is effective against Heat Man, Heat Man is effective against Wood Man, Wood Man is effective against Air Man, Air Man is effective against Crash Man. However, Crash Man does not complete the cycle and does no damage at all to Metal Man. And as usual, you can choose whichever boss order works for you. The instruction booklet suggests Airman as a good beginner stage. Flashman was always my brother's beginner stage, but I like to start with Metal Man, and you will see why as we go. We'll come across these conveyor belt floors that take Mega Man in one direction. If you're going against the conveyor belt, jumping will help you move faster. And here is the first energy crystal of the series. The energy crystal is a full load of energy that Mega Man can carry around with his weapons and use whenever he is running low on juice. Now these presses that drop, they're activated by proximity. When Mega Man gets close, they will fall, so just get close enough for it to fall, and as it slowly returns back to the ceiling, you can run underneath it. The moles are easy to take care of in normal mode, but in difficult mode, they take a lot more shots to clear out. There's a Heartbreaker missing that one up behind us. The mole is the name of these enemies, and that's the name from the Legacy collection. The instruction book does not give you the enemy's name. We're coming up on a 1-up that is not attainable right now, but if you fought another robot boss and got an ability that helps Mega Man with his mobility, you would be able to reach that 1-up. But it's not a big deal. We'll come across more 1-ups. This is a Pyrobot, and according to the Legacy Collection description, it was part of the Robot Circus, the most popular robot. And after we take out a couple more Pyrobots, we're going to see his buddy Blocky, which is another member of the Robot Circus. And in difficult mode, Blocky will fall apart and throw his blocks at you after the first hit. But in normal mode, he just takes one hit. Now as we land here, we come across the springs. These are based off of Crazy Razy from Iceman Stage in Mega Man 1. Coming up to Metal Man strategy, the boss room in here has a conveyor belt floor that changes direction periodically. Metal Man will jump whenever you shoot at him, and he periodically throws 3 metal blades at you. So jump before you shoot to bait him into jumping into your shots. You can also shoot while grounded if he's coming down from a jump. Just remember that you can't shoot more than 3 pellets on the screen at one time. That's a Mega Man standard. When the floor changes direction, it'll be easier to approach Metal Man. He'll jump to the opposite side of the room, and the conveyor will then be pulling you away from him, which is the easier way to fight him. And we have the classic Mega Man end of stage victory music. A little drum beat for the weapon acquired screen. Here's a look at the password screen. Passwords in the middle and the abilities you've achieved are on the right. Metal Man is effective against Flash Man, so that will be our next Robot Empire. Now the floor at Flashman Stage acts like ice in video games typically do. So you'll slide in the direction you're running even after letting go of the directional pad or running in the opposite direction. We're going to be using the Metal Blade for the majority of the game now due to its versatility, and you can see that demonstrated as we fight the Crazy Cannons. The Metal Blade can be thrown in 8 directions, and it's one of my favorite of Mega Man's abilities in Super Smash Bros. The color that Mega Man takes on when using the Metal Blade is also a color that's available in Smash Bros. Those red squares can be destroyed with Crash Man's weapon. And next we see the return of Sniper Joe controlling a mech here. The mech is invincible to the Metal Blade, and once you take out the mech, Sniper Joe behaves like he did in the last game. Take the right path to drop down here. There's a Crazy Cannon. That was actually supposed to be a firefighting robot that Dr. Wily modified to being a weapon. These here, the little enemies that drop what I think are pieces of toothpaste, are actually called squirms, and those are metal pipes. We'll see more of those later on. Another Sniper Joe. Once we take him out, one thing that Sniper Joe does not do in this game that he did in the last game is jump. So if you have room to jump over him, you can do so if you like. We have a series of jumps to get to an energy crystal. Big jump, short, 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 big jump, and then however you want to jump to get to the end. Since we don't have Crash Man's weapon, we have to backtrack and fight this Sniper Joe to make it to the boss room. Now for Flashman's strategy, he'll walk left and right along the floor, occasionally jumping, and will freeze you periodically. And there's no dodging him once you're frozen. You stay frozen until he hits you. But if you hit him with the Metal Blade quickly enough, you can emerge victorious without a scratch. And we'll be on our way to Quickman next. Now you notice how the weapon will be abbreviated with an F on the subscreen, but they call it Time Stopper. When it's organized in the subscreen, it's based off of the first letter of the boss's name that you got the weapon ability from. Here we have item number 3. This is a wall crawling platform. We'll demonstrate this on the very next stage. Here's another color that Mega Man has in Smash Bros. There's a little trick: if you hold the A and B button down before you select a boss, the stars change into little birds. So here we'll see item 3 demonstrated. In order to catch the one up on the left, it will climb down as soon as you jump off of it, and will continue depleting energy until it touches the ground to disappear. We have some more squirms to contend with, which actually aren't a bad thing because you can use them, since they produce so many enemies, to farm some items if needed. Now we're coming across some beams that will stretch across the room. These beams will take Mega Man out in one shot. On the third set of beams though, you want to stay to the right, unlike I did here. I got hit by the enemy. You could get hit by the enemy and use the temporary invulnerability to drop to the right and catch those items that I missed. Now here's a little touch of nostalgia for me, the black subscreen. I don't know what it is, but when the lights go out and Mega Man's subscreen is black, it takes me back. These are called hotheads. We're coming across these beams that will one-shot Mega Man again. The first screen that we come up, hit the ground jumping, and then don't stop moving, kissing each ledge on the way down. You'll see Mega Man turning to face each ledge. Here's the third screen. Now on the fifth screen after this one, it's a little tricky. Don't stand on either ledge, but pass them both up. Stay close, because you have to move to the right immediately. Don't grab any items on these 7 screens.
It's a trap!
And we've made it. We have 2 Sniper Joe mechs to deal with in this room. And I make a big mistake here, and I happen to blip both Sniper Joe mechs back, so I'm going to take advantage of the little invincibility I get from getting hit by an enemy to run away. And now seems like as good a time as any to use an energy crystal for the first time. And on to Quickman's strategy. Quickman is going to run in one direction and jump a few times in the air. Occasionally he'll jump in the air and throw a set of boomerangs that sit in the air for a second and then shoot in your direction. Flashman's weapon will give you a head start, freezing him and taking his health down by half. Then you'll have to finish the job with your regular power shot. Quickman is immune to Metal Man's attack, and he actually has a neat little animation where he'll drop, freeze, and throw his hand up as if he's blocking Metal Man's attack, and I've included it in this video. There he is, throwing his hand up. You can't touch him with that. Now we get equipped with the Quick Boomerang, and we are going to take that ability to Bubble Man's stage next. The first enemy we're coming up on is a croaker, and according to the Legacy Collection, he performed at an underwater carnival before Dr. Wily reprogrammed him for nefarious purposes. He drops little mini croakers that, if you wanted to, you could farm for items, since the Metal Blade takes them out rather quickly. These are platforms that drop as soon as you touch them, so you have to keep moving and don't stop jumping. And on the next page we have crab bots. Now on normal mode, hitting them with the Metal Blade causes their shell to pop off and then they start running around. On difficult mode, any weapon you use against them, even your power shot, will cause their shell to pop off. We're going to land right on top of a crab bot, because that's where the developers decided to put him. And as we fall to the next screen, we will approach the lanternfish that spawns shrinks. They look like shrimps, but they're shrinks. I like to try to throw the Metal Blade at an angle to get that weak spot right on top of the lanternfish's head. You could just jump up and shoot it, but I like to try to thread that needle, since the rest of his body is immune. Mega Man is more buoyant underwater for most of the series, so be careful how high you allow him to jump, touching the spikes will kill Mega Man in one hit. Just let go of the jump button soon enough and he'll descend. These mecha jellyfish are called M445s, and they're actually related to the boss from Wily Stage 3 in the last game. So, despite my introduction, Mega Man 2 actually isn't my favorite Mega Man game on the NES. The hype that I put into the introduction is because of what Mega Man 2 brought to the early age of gaming. It was groundbreaking and very nostalgic for me now. So even though there are quote-unquote better games out there, remembering Mega Man 2 for what it brought to gaming is what makes me hype about it. Kind of like how the Beatles were by no means the best musicians ever, but there's no denying the impact they had on the music and pop culture scene. These snappers that fall from the ceiling, also part of the underwater carnival, you can use the metal blade to take them out before they hit you or land on the ground, but I like to use the time stopper here. So for Bubble Man's strategy, he'll drop bubbles that roll in your direction and shoot projectiles straight at you. Watch the spikes on the ceiling when jumping, and you could take Bubble Man out in 4 hits with the metal blade, but I like to use the quick boomerang because Quick Man was the last robot boss we fought, and I like the paper, rock, scissors cycle of the Mega Man series. Bubble Man's weapon, Bubble Lead, is effective against Heat Man. That'll be our next destination. We will notice that Heat Man's level is another banger for music. We'll get the metal blade ready as we move forward towards some prop tops. They like to ascend a little after they hit the ground and then fly towards Mega Man in an arc, so throwing a diagonal or straight up metal blade is the best way to handle them. These little blue things are tellies. They move in your direction, but they can only move in the 4 cardinal directions, which means they can't move diagonally. And we'll see quite a few of them throughout this game. Now we're coming back up to the springers that behave like the spines from the original Mega Man. They cannot be destroyed with your regular power shot, but the weapons that do work against them are the quick boomerang and Bubble Lead. Since we're going to save Bubble Lead for the boss fight, we'll use the quick boomerang. And the quick boomerang is a little bit more mobile than the Bubble Lead as well anyway. And the disappearing block puzzle from the last Mega Man game is back. We're going to jump to the first block and then right away jump straight up, then hop to the third, and then we can jump up on the ladder. We have a series of blocks and tellies to deal with for a bit, but just watch the pattern of the blocks and you should be able to maneuver just fine. Now if you're a super fan who played the Legacy Collection, you may notice that some of the enemy names I'm using aren't the same as their official names. That's because I'm calling them by the name they were given in the instruction book that came with the North American released cartridge. These were the names that we knew them by, and my channel is, in part, trying to immerse viewers in what it was like playing these old titles back when they were current. So that's why I use those old, outdated names. Now the big platform puzzle is coming up, and it can feel quite intimidating, but here is the pattern for these blocks. 3 blocks forward, 1 jump up. And then again, 3 blocks forward, 1 jump up. Now we're going to go 11 jumps forward, and when the blocks drop really low, that's your sign that we're going to do another 3 blocks forward, 1 jump up. Here's the drop, so 1, 2, 3, here's my mini heart attack because I didn't make that jump, and then 2 more blocks to finish. Here's the sniper mechs again, and the sniper mechs take a lot more hits to destroy in difficult mode. And also in difficult mode, enemies don't drop items as often. Coming up on Heat Man, he will throw 3 flames at you, which will spout up from the ground once they land. When you hit him, he will become engulfed in flames and then rush at you. Just jump over him when he does that. Do a little do-si-do, and you'll have him taken out in 3 hits on normal mode. We will take Heatman's ability to Woodman. And we have a new item ability that helps with Mega Man's mobility. Item number 1 is a temporary floating platform, and as with other abilities of Mega Man, a max of 3 platforms can be on the screen at one time. And as we begin this level, we will see another Mega Man staple making their first appearance, the Bubble Bat, accompanied by the Robo-Rabbit. Robo-Rabbit kind of looks like it should be a Disney character. The cool thing about this game is that it almost didn't happen. Because of the lack of sales for the original Mega Man, it took a lot to get this project for Mega Man 2 greenlit, and actually the developers had to develop this game on their own time while working on other projects, and they had a 3 or 4 month window to finish the game. That was their deadline. Can you guess this guy's name? It's a hot dog. And I love how they appear like Mega Man teleports in, just a lot bigger. So yeah, the story of Mega Man 2's development is really something, since not too many people believed in it, but they pushed enough to make it happen, and it ended up blowing up. Coming up, we have Mecha Monkeys. If you can take them out with a metal blade before they jump up, you'll be a little bit ahead of the game. They are accompanied by flying fish. That's the name the instruction book gives it. The flying fish will drop an egg and its feathers will attack you unless you shoot the egg first, but if the egg falls straight down into a pit, it won't bother you at all. Sometimes the feathers are good for farming items though, if you need it. We're coming up on a few more Robo-Rabbits, and the Robo-Rabbits will shoot little carrots at you if you leave them alone long enough. Now we're approaching some atomic chickens, and you can actually see me knocking the rust off as I face each one, and remember when I finally get to the last 2 that if I take 1 step backwards when they're running at me, they will jump right over me. I don't know if I've ever shot at those things. So for Woodman's strategy, he throws leaves in the air and gathers a leaf shield around him. If you play Smash Brothers, that shield will look familiar. And then the leaves fall from the ceiling and he throws the leaf shield at you. The leaves will block your shots, so you have to make sure no leaves are between you and Woodman before you take your shot. You can take him out with 7 shots of the metal blade or with 1 fully charged atomic fire. Or 2 fully charged atomic fires in difficult mode. You're going to see here a skin that is available in Smash Brothers. The leaf shield is effective against Airman, so that's where we're heading next. And the instruction booklet actually walks you through Airman's level from start to finish. So for immersive purposes, I'm going to read this walkthrough verbatim. But first, don't the faces in the floor kind of look like their fingers are connected through the glass? Anyway, Walk right to the edge of the platform. When you reach the edge, the first air tiki will appear. It will immediately start raising its horns. Jump onto it as soon as it starts to lower its horns. Run across and jump to the platform to the other side. Do not remain on its head if you can help it. As soon as you land on the platform on the other side, turn around and shoot the lump that pops up. If you do not hit him immediately, jump up and shoot at him until you hit. Then turn and wait for the horns to go down on the next air tiki and repeat the process. Do this for all 5. A lightning lord will fly on the screen to your right. Jump up and shoot him until he explodes. Then jump onto his thunder chariot. Turn to your right and shoot at the next lightning lord as he comes onto the screen and jumps his chariot. Ride through the cloud, and as you drift up into range, carefully jump up and shoot at the next lord as quickly as possible. Jump to his chariot as fast as you can. Turn to the left and shoot the next lord as you come up alongside. Then simply step off the left side of your chariot and you will land on his. Face right to shoot the final lord when he comes up alongside, and jump to his chariot. When this chariot gets close to the next edge, you can easily jump onto it. Run along the platform until you see a flying fish drop an egg. When the egg hits the ground, it will explode and the feathers will hurt you. To avoid this, you should stop and shoot at the egg as it is falling. The flying fish are evenly spaced and some are not visible because they are behind clouds. You will have to learn how far apart they are so that you know when to stop running and start shooting. When you reach the right edge of the platform, walk into the cloud and walk off the side, and you will fall down to the lower level. Jump left onto the 2 upper platforms and then walk into the cloud on the lower left and you'll fall down to the next screen. Walk right to the edge of the platform and another air tiki will appear. When its horns start to go down, jump onto it and walk to the right edge and back to the center. Walking to the right edge will summon the next air tiki. You must wait, however, for the horns on both demons to go down before jumping onto the second one. Wait at the center of the second one for the horns to go down again and jump to the edge. Remember, if you get hit, you're invulnerable, so move quickly. Jump from platform to platform until you get close to the first fan fiend. The fan fiends will try to blow you away from them. Just jump up to the right and shoot away while he blows you back left. After you defeat him, move on to the next one. Be careful, there are more flying fish out there. If you are jumping between platforms and get hit, you may fall into the abyss. Once past all 3 fan fiends, you will reach a gate. Walk through this gate and you will enter a room with another gate on the far end. Beyond this gate dwells Airman. Airman throws small tornadoes which deflect your shots and damage you. Run up close to the nearest tornado and try to jump over it. When there is nothing between you and Airman, he is very vulnerable to your shots. Shoot as quickly as you can before he has a chance to throw more tornadoes. He will usually throw 2, 3, or 4 sets of tornadoes before a proficient player defeats him. Ooh, that was a mouthful. And now we get Airman's ability, which is another ability and color available in Smash Brothers. And I will die on that hill. And now we get the very useful item 2, which is a jet-powered platform that can take you straight across an area as needed. Airman's ability works against Crashman, so that's where we are headed next, our final robot boss. We'll have to climb a series of ladders and deal with some tellies along the way. And the staple of the Met has returned in Mega Man 2. This time he's a little bit more mobile than in the last game. When you get close enough, he will shoot a spread of 3 bullets and then run in your direction. Here we have a rolling platform puzzle. We're going to be seeing more of this in the Wily stage, and the stakes will be higher, so now is a good time to get used to how to utilize them in order to predict how best to handle them. Perhaps you've noticed that the music is a little bit more peppy in this Crashman stage. There actually was a lot more peppy music that was produced for this game, but the higher-ups or the development team or whomever told the producer of the music that the songs were a little too peppy for what they were trying to go for with Mega Man 2, and they asked him to make songs that were more in line with their plan. This level also might help us to see how the development team was going for a more anime style in this game as compared to the last game as well. But as far as the music that was planned, as far as we know, none of that previous peppy music has been preserved. The only vestige we have is Crashman stage. There's a tricky Met coming up, limited floor space between you and a pit, but if you fall, you won't die, you'll just go to the screen below. Jump on the platform to activate the Met, then jump back, and if you take a hit, you'll be okay. Get a little closer, we can take him out. And as we climb, you can see that the background is getting darker, and I think that means that we are climbing so high that we are going into space. Now watch the flying fish here. If you come here without the metal blade, you just have to take the hit from the feathers and keep on climbing. So in that case, once you enter the screen, don't stop climbing the ladder, and that'll give you enough clearance so that when you get hit and you get knocked down, you'll have room to grab the ladder before you fall into the next screen. We're coming up on an energy crystal, and then we are going to display how to use item number 1. Item number 1 is a floating platform, and as you can see, it gets quite a bit of height before it disappears. We have a 1-up and a series of prop tops to take down before we get to Crashman. For Crashman's strategy, he's going to walk back and forth. Occasionally he will jump and throw a crash bomb down at you, but when you press the B button to fire, he will definitely jump. Your B button is basically his jump button. And when he jumps, he throws down a crash bomber. His weakness is the air shooter, and fortunately for us, it fires almost straight up into the air. So as he jumps, he will jump right into the shot, and it will make short work of Crashman. Crashman's ability is another ability that Mega Man has in Smash Brothers. Now we don't go back to the stage select screen at all, we go right to Wily's iconic eyebrows. If you do a YouTube search for Mega Man Remix, 80% of the results will be this song. But I think this song is too popular. Not that it isn't a good song, but there's so many good songs in the Mega Man series, this one song has crowded them out, in my opinion. Item number 3 will continue to use energy as long as it's on the screen, so get it off the screen ASAP once you're done using it to save energy, because you'll be using it quite a bit in the Wily levels. And like the last game, your weapon energy will not recharge in between levels. Going back to the song, I still think that this is the best version of the song, but 2 remixes that I've heard are my favorite. There's the one this video opened with by Acid Notation, and then another one that includes all 8 robot boss levels made by Shun40, and I'll include both of those in the description. You have a few Sniper Joes to contend with, but keep an eye on your weapon energy and manage your abilities to make sure everything has enough juice to use in the upcoming levels. Although this game has a password function, the passwords will only get you as far as this stage, so in one sitting you have to finish all Wily Fortress levels. Unless you're playing the Legacy Collection, then you can save anywhere, but in 1989, we had to clear all Wily levels in one sitting. Here's a little springer to deal with. Remember, when you unpause the game, Mega Man lets go of the ladder. Now what we have coming up here is Item 1 Proficiency. We stand as far left as possible on the ladder. Then with each Item 1 you place, jump on it and stand on the left edge before placing the next quickly, and on the third jump you'll be just close enough to reach the ladder. Get your quick boomerang ready. Coming up is one of my favorite boss fights of all time, whether in a Mega Man game or otherwise. It starts very differently from the rest, and it makes you feel like the stakes are high. You see these little platforms, you fall down the pit, you're done. The dragon pops up, and if you touch the dragon, he will one-shot Mega Man. So you're trying to escape. Get up to the top ledge so that when you take a hit, it knocks you back to the second. Jump back up and just unload on him. Apparently, we are infiltrating Wily's recording studio. You can use this area as a chance to recharge your weapon and ability energy. This is nice because it only takes one shot of the metal blade to take out the prop tops, and they show up fairly often, so refilling your weapon energy shouldn't be too hard, unless you're on difficult mode, in which case the enemies don't drop items as often, and they don't drop, at least in my experience, the bigger power-ups as often. Here we use weapon number 2. It's a jet that takes us straight across the screen. Now in this case, skip the first ladder. There will be a second. There we go. Now if you've played this game in the North American release, you'll notice, especially by our intro to this video, the box art for the game cover is still not true to Mega Man's look. It's still a man holding a gun rather than Mega Man using his arm cannon. But because the game was so successful, I don't think people rip it as hard as they do the original Mega Man. Now we're using our Crash Bomber to take out these walls, but you want to keep your Crash Bomb filled because there's a boss fight coming up, not in this level, but a few levels forward, in which we will need our Crash Bomber at max energy. These moles can be a lot more difficult, especially in using Metal Man's weapon, because you can't run and shoot Metal Man's weapon at the same time, and there's not a lot of room to jump. On hard mode, it's almost impossible. So what you'll want to use here actually is Leaf Shield. That will clear the path for you and make things much easier. I wanted to save my Metal Man weapon, so I switched back to the regular power shot. Nice opportunity to keep my Crash Bomber topped off. That looked like it hurt. We're using item 3 again. Good thing we topped it off, and we have a series of presses to work with. or to work around. Now sometimes in these video games you have an obstacle like this where a chain drops down a press or spikes. Sometimes the spikes hurt Mega Man, and sometimes the chain also hurts Mega Man. Does it hurt Mega Man in this game? Sure does. Now if you're vigilant, when you drop down to a new screen, it freezes for half a second, and you can use that half second to decide which way you're going to fall. The boss that is coming up is called Pico Pico-kun. The two center floor pieces will not move for the duration of the fight. These little robot cameras, they take 2 hits of the metal blade to eliminate. According to the Legacy Collection, the Pico Pico was supposed to be Dr. Light's home security system, and Dr. Wily repurposed it. We move into the next Wily stage, and the music changes. Now originally, Dr. Wily Stage 1 music was supposed to be longer, there was supposed to be more to it, and Dr. Wily Stage 2 was supposed to be a different song altogether. And as far as I know, these extra versions, extra songs, are not available anywhere. But it would have been cool if we were able to hear what these songs should have been. We're using the Crash Bomber again, and again we want to make sure we keep it topped off. Fortunately for us, that wall dropped a weapon energy. Now we're already full on energy crystal, so there's no need to get that one. We're going to go down, down into the bowels of Dr. Wily's fortress. It's funny looking back on this game, when I was a kid, these levels, I could only see them if my dad or my big brother got to them. And it was such a huge personal achievement once I was able to get to them myself. I was about 23 years old. No, I'm just kidding. But you know, I'm going to be a cranky old man for a minute, because I saw one of my nephews playing this game where all they had to do was shrink and grow their character along a straight line and make it to the end of a relatively short path. I didn't see any learning curve along the levels or difficulty scale. It was just 2 buttons. Shrink, grow, and then move left or right, and the screen moved so slow there was plenty of time for the player to decide. This enemy here, his only weakness is the Crash Bomber and the Quick Boomerang. But anyway, the game my nephew was playing was just too easy. And I know that some games are made extremely difficult, like so hard that they're not fun. But that game was too easy. Games need to be challenging. Coming up on one-shot spikes. If Mega Man touches any one of these spikes, it's done. No matter how much health he has, use that half a second whenever you enter a new screen to determine which way is best to fall. Now even though that big fish that we fought before is weak to Crash Man's, Quick Boomerang is the best weapon to use in this case, because we need to save Crash Man's ability for an upcoming boss. Not this upcoming boss, but an upcoming boss. We're fighting against the Guts Dozer. This is based on Guts Man from Mega Man 1. His only weakness is his face just above his giant jaw. He is immune to the Metal Blade, but he is vulnerable to the Quick Blade, and if you just unload on him, you can take care of him quickly. On this next level, we will need every bit of our Crashman ability. And in this level, we have to manage fake floors. I'm going to identify each one as we approach the screen, just briefly. If you need more time, feel free to pause the video. We have some Mets to deal with again. And on this next screen, we have our first set of fake floors. And then head up to the next screen and we can identify the fake floors here. So as long as you jump over the right areas, it's just fine to navigate. Now, by the time we got to this room, when I was younger, we would just use item number 2 because we didn't want to fall into those spikes. But I'm going to do this for science. So we see here, just that little 2 square portion is the fake floor. Underneath the ladder itself is actually safe. Our final fake floor screen. I went to try to get the energy crystal and then I thought, I don't need it. Coming up, we go back to the rolling platforms that we saw in Crashman stage, but as we said, the stakes are higher. Metal Man's ability will be invaluable here, the metal blade. Now, if you drop on the ladder, don't hold down while you push the jump button, because you won't let go of the ladder. Holding up or down causes you to hold on to the ladder. Here we predict the right time to drop so that we can land on the platform. We will have to jump off the platform onto the little ledge because we won't fit through that little path. Jump back on the platform to make it to the next ladder. Now here I made a little mistake while trying to jump on the platform. And if you remember, when the enemies hit you, you are invulnerable. In this game, that invulnerability will help to preserve you against spikes. So I just continued jumping and getting hit by the enemies in order to maintain that invulnerability until the platform came back down. It was a professional way, if you will, to handle a clumsy mistake. Now here what you're supposed to do is fall on the rolling platform, jump on the little ledge, and then wait for the rolling platform to make 2 big jumps, but I just like to use item number 2 and bypass it. We have a series of Sniper Joe mechs to deal with, but now we have the air shot, which will one-shot the mech. It's a little bit harder to get to this Sniper Joe, so we're going to have to be willing to take a few hits while we take him out. Gonna use my temporary invulnerability to grab that health power up. Take out the Sniper Joe, and we are coming up to the boss, which is the Boo Beam Trap. That is its official name. This is where we need to use the Crash Bomber. When the little pink lines on the wall units stop rotating and the whole unit flashes pink, they're all going to fire at once at Mega Man. And that little pink flash that they all do is your tell. Use item 1 to get to the center platform. And the only weapon that damages this boss is Crash Bomber. You only have 7 Crash Bombers when full, and you will need all 7. So if you're defeated after using even a single Crash Bomber, you'll have to fight those Sniper Joe mechs until they drop enough weapon energy to fill your Crash Bomber back to full. Since we only have 7 shots, and there are 5 wall units to destroy, we can only take out 2 doors. And those 2 doors are the very bottom door and the leftmost door, since there's no other way to get to the wall units behind them. It's probably best to start with the far left wall unit and then work in a clockwise fashion to take them all out. but for some reason, I always like to start with that bottom right. Now, if you were able to place a crash bomber right at this square, you would take out the wall underneath it and the wall unit above it, which would carry one crash bomber over to the next level. But we're going to play as though we did not know that. We're making good use of item 3 and item 1. So you have to be the most versatile for this boss, using 3 different abilities. Take out our second door. We've only got 2 shots left now. So you can make the jump like I did, or you can fall on the floor and use item number 1 to carry you back up to that last wall unit. And we have made it to the skull level of Wily's castle. It is a robot boss gauntlet. Unlike the last game, all of the robots have been gathered in one place, and we fight them via teleporters. For your reference, here is where all the robots are. It really doesn't matter knowing where all the robots are, since we have all of the abilities to take them out with, except for Crashman. We have no more crash bombers. And now we see why Crashman does not complete the cycle and take out Metal Man, because at this point in time we would not have had Metal Man's effective weapon. And since we've already fought these bosses, I smell a montage coming on, and my apologies to Metal Man, because his weakness is his own weapon! Seemed appropriate since we've already fought all the robots to skip ahead like that. Go into the Wily fight equipped with Metal Man. He shoots orbs at you in a low arc honed in on Mega Man's location. The glass on the front of Wily's machine is the only vulnerable part. Now you could take a phase of Wily's fight out with a fully charged atomic fire, or if you carried over a crash bomber from the last level, shoot it just underneath the glass when Wily is moving away from Mega Man. Each of those avenues will one-shot a phase of the Wily machine. Mega Man drops down into a trap, and we find a secret final level for our final confrontation. Move a little to the right. As long as you don't stop moving to the right, none of these drips will hurt you. The only item that damages the final boss is Bubble Lead, and it's the least mobile attack, but it's not too bad because the boss moves in a predictable figure 8 pattern. Any other weapon you use against Wily as he morphs into an alien will recharge him to full health. Bubble Lead is the only effective weapon. And if Wily touches you even once, he'll take your health down by 2/3. He shoots one bullet at you every second. Follow his predictable pattern, and the fight should be simple enough. Ah, so it was a robot the whole time, controlled by Wily. And since this game is 30 years old, I'm apologizing for my cheesy ruse. Wily's iconic apology prostration. And we have cleared Mega Man 2. Here's a pretty epic, artistic ending for a 1980s Nintendo game. Mega Man's colors matching that of the seasons as he's walking home, or walking away from Wily's fortress, or just walking. Is there a meaning behind this? Am I looking into it too deeply? I don't know. But we finish with the classic and iconic Mega Man helmet sitting off by itself. A really nice picture for a Nintendo game. Maybe that's the nostalgia kicking in. Now this is pretty cool. Kaiji Inafune did the art for each robot boss, but the design for the robot bosses were opened up to the fans of Mega Man as a contest. So each of these names were people who submitted their idea for a robot boss, and the ones that won, out of thousands actually. And just imagine being the guy that said, yeah, I designed Flashman. I entered it into a contest and I won. They took my idea and I designed a robot boss from one of the most iconic games of all time. And you can hear the Mega Man theme music kicking into high gear now. So that's it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed watching it, and I hope that it proves helpful to you if you ever decide to tackle it yourself. And thanks for listening to An Old Gamer.